Whoops. But we'll just go ahead and do that. I don't know what the heck just happened. So, all right, we'll cut that music off and we'll go ahead and welcome to Tactical Tuesday. Today is Tuesday, April 10th, 2018. Welcome to everybody out there. We are live on YouTube and we are simulcasting as always on GunChannels.com. We will take, if not all of this, parts of it and a lot of it, and put it over on PodBean and iTunes. So you guys go check that out if you'd like. We have a jumping crowd. The chat's been going on for quite some time, but let's go check out who all is over in the chat right now. We've got Gelsma Outdoors, Gunpowder Beauty, Rich White the 1%, Tardot, Grim 90 the Reaper, Guitar Man Pete. What's going on? Vanessa Kitty. They've had Joe's Yola's out there. That guy's wife. Hello, Armintha. How are you? Trauma Jock. Nighthog. Let's see here. Travis T. Is that Travis T? Weston Pros. What's up, Weston? Weston, we hooked up. We met and talked for a little bit over at Wannenmacher. He was there with his two sons. That was pretty cool to see him. Solitary Maverick, Georgia Trucker, JJ's out there, Clint's out there. We've got a good show tonight. We're gonna discuss a few topics. One of them being obviously the Capitol rallies that are taking place this Saturday at most of the state capitals. We're going to talk a little bit about a question that Ellis had on his that kind of sparked my interest because I'll get into that a little bit later here. But why anyone needs an AR-15? I thought that was a good question, and there were some interesting answers that came out of that. And then we'll also do a little Tulsa recap as always. John Brown Productions, what's going on? Insight, Rob C, what's going on, guys? So, guys, if you're out there in the chat, go ahead and say hello. We can't see if you're here unless you say something in the chat. So let us know what's going on, where you are, what you're doing for the Capitol rallies this weekend. Hopefully everyone's going to be attending. So just go ahead and say something in the chat, and we will make sure that we Rob Cromwell's over there, Ohio 45's over there on the Gun Channel side. So welcome, guys. So we're going to go through our panel real quick. We've got a couple more invites coming out. Brickell said she's going to try to jump on, and a couple others that might jump in there as well. But as of right now, we do have a distinguished and esteemed panel from the great state of Nebraska, the Cornhusker State. Travis P11. What's going on, Travis?
Hey, man, not much. I want to thank you for the invite. It's great to be here. It's good to see we all made it back safely from Tulsa.
Oh, yeah.
And just quick heads up, I did post my alert about our 2A Capitol rally on Saturday at our state capitol, and I'll be there. So that's posted over on my channel. You guys want to check it out if you're a Nebraska resident. Rain, sleet, snow, hail. You know, I might have to take shelter for tornadoes. I will be there, bro.
I love it. I love it.
You know it.
From the Palmetto State, the outlaw Hatfield himself. What's up, Ellis?
Well, first thing I want to say, are you looking at the same panel I am? Esteemed us? Okay. Fine. I'm doing good, brother. I'm doing good. Thank you. Thank you for shopping by my show earlier. You had some great input out there.
Well, you know, I do what I can. I didn't have time to actually jump on the panel, but I wanted to, I like where the discussion was going, so I just kind of wanted to say hello and give my 2 cents for whatever that is worth, which is usually not a whole lot. And I want to understand something, because my next panelist is a good friend of mine, become pretty close over the last 4, 5, 6 months. And I love having him on the panel. He allowed me and Clover to be on the Gun News Weekly panel there for a while. But some bitch, dude, some bitch just went live playing video games. I got the notification that Tac Daddy is live playing his video games during our show. So, Tac, do you have time to say hello, or are you busy online gaming?
I just shouted you out I'm trying to share the screen. I said I'm on another chat. Go check out Ghost Tactical over on YouTube. They're talking about guns and stuff. And you can listen to them while you watch me try to figure out and save the world here on Battlefield 4.
I just thought it was funny. I'm sitting there going, Tech Daddy is live. I'm like, what the hell, dude?
I made it happen. Oh,
man, you
live
are
and down already. So enjoy the show. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, brother. And from the great state of Texas, the tactical leprechaun himself, Clover Tack. What's up, buddy?
What up?
Chilling.
Trying to do some homework.
Trying to do some homework.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What?
Yeah. For your topics.
Oh, are you now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
I got to make sure my numbers are right.
Oh, well, good.
That's all.
We'll jump into that here in a minute.
What's a number?
Here, huh?
Right.
What's a number?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. Some people just jumped in. We're up to growing a little bit here. Sean Green, Jim Burgess, John 12 Gauge. Let's see here. All right. So before we get going, we're going to take our first little commercial break real quick, and we're going to talk a little bit here. So let me do my little commercial break real quick. At Ghost Tactical, we understand the rising tensions across America regarding guns and gun control. It is more important than ever to be vigilant about our Second Amendment rights. We encourage everybody to stay informed and contact your local, state, and federally elected officials to make sure they are hearing your voice. They represent you, and without your input, their votes may be susceptible to outside influences. We ask that you actively support any gun rights organizations such as Gun Owners of America, Second Amendment Foundation, the Firearm Policy Coalition, and even the National Rifle Association. We understand you may not agree with the politics involved with some of these organizations, but we encourage you to keep up and support with those that you deem necessary. So there are obviously local and state organizations that you guys make sure you are doing that, because it really is going to start at the ground level. And we're going to get into NRA a little bit, because the NRA shows come up in a few weeks, and obviously the NRA, ILA, and I want to start making a distinction between the two, because I think that the NRA itself is under attack, but I think that 90%, maybe even more, I would say maybe closer to 95% of the onslaught of attacks that have been coming their way are supposed to be directed towards the ILA arm of the organization. And so the NRA is the umbrella company, needs to do a lot more and all of that. But the ILA is kind of where the criticism should be directed. So I want to make sure that I don't care, everybody else can do what they want, but I'm going to start trying to distinguish the ILA from the NRA and make sure that the blame and the criticism is going towards the right people, mainly Wayne LaPierre and the ILA arm of the NRA. So anyways, did I see Ozzy's in the house? Scotty, what's up, Hottie? Is in the hizzy. So yeah, I think what we're going to start talking about real quick is let's go real quick before we start in there and see if there's anything going on in the chat. Any questions, guys? If you have any questions that you want read on the air, we will love to read those out. Just make sure that you tag me in your comments out there. And ask a question. If I miss it, that's fine. I'm sorry. I can't see everything. If you really want it to be read, go ahead and send me an email to live@ghosttactical.us. And that way you can, we'll get those emails and we will read those aloud. A lot of the time, which we have a great group of people in the chat, they can answer a lot of questions on their own. But if I get a chance to read it, I will run through the panel. If it is something that you definitely want run through the panel, like I said, make sure you tag me in there at Ghost Tactical so I can actually see the orange pop up in my chat, so I can actually see it. So what we're going to talk about first, guys, are the 2A rallies. And I'm going to let me go here to this site real quick, and the going to come over here, and why it is the here it is. Okay, sorry about that, guys. me just get over here and get onto their Facebook page so I can see if there's anything updated or not. And I'm just going to go. It's the National Constitutional Coalition of Patriotic Americans who are putting the rallies on this April 14th, which is Saturday. The cool thing about it is they're pretty organized. They've got different organizations and all of that running each state. I can't speak as far as a lot of other states as to what's going on and all of that, but what I can tell you in Arkansas, it's pretty organized. Now on their Facebook page, they've already got close to 100 to 150 people. I think they're going to be going, which is a dramatic improvement over what we had last November. But if you go over and we put this, I'll tell you what I can do. I can put this in the chat over here. This is their main Facebook page. If you go to this link and then go over to the left and it'll say events, and you scroll down and find your state, they have individual event pages for each individual state that kind of we'll talk about it. And basically what they're trying to do is instead of having it different times throughout the day, no matter where you are, it's going to start at 1 o'clock Central Time. So if you're on the East Coast, that means 2 o'clock. Mountain Time, it's 12 o'clock. West Coast, it's 11 o'clock. So they're going to start them at the same time nationwide. And it's just going to be different times depending on your time zone. So go check those out. Do any of you guys plan on going to your respective rallies? Travis, I know you said you might be going to one.
Yeah.
What's going on in Nebraska? Have you heard about how many might be going?
I know that Sandhill Shooter's going to be there. I've had a couple other guys that are in Nebraska, that are YouTube viewers from Nebraska that have contacted me that said they'd be going. It's actually going to be, if I'm not mistaken, hosted by Trisha, and she is the president of the Nebraska Firearms Owners Association. And she was the main speaker in November, but we had about 6 or 7 guest speakers come in. I'm sure they'll have a similar program. I'm hoping we can get maybe a little more representative presentations instead of just us and, a few journalists and stuff like that. I like to see some of our representatives out there. So yeah, it's going down 1 to 3. I'll probably get there around 12:30 or so. And yeah, I'll be there if you guys are there. So it's on the west side of the Capitol building in Nebraska, in Lincoln.
Nice. Ellis, do you have any plans for Saturday? You know, try to get over to the Capitol?
Let's see. Saturday, I am going to a charity event. So it's for a little girl that's got some kind of muscular disease, I think it is. And we're doing a machine gun shoot. And so.
Well, you're going to be supporting the Second Amendment in that way. So that's fine. You're going to put some lead down range, so that's
yes,
important. Tack, are you going to be able to make it up? I know that's a haul for you.
Yeah, not possible with other plans that are already in place. I didn't get real notification on that whole thing until just a couple weeks ago after some stuff was already planned.
Yeah, Clover,
but I'm sure I'll figure out how to cover it somehow.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, Clover, you going to head to Austin?
No, I've got things as well, so unfortunately I won't be able to. And I don't know. I'm a little concerned with things down here. Honestly, it wasn't, for being Texas. I mean, it wasn't really great back in November. Of course, anything's better than nothing. And I don't believe at this point the TSRA, the Texas State Rifle Association, is pushing it or anything like I had wanted and asked and hoped. So,
right.
I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I plan on being in Little Rock. We've got, as of right now, well, if everyone shows up that says they're going to show, it's going to be well over 200 people. So I know that they said that the Capitol Police are expecting, they basically have it set to where they can handle basically up to about 300 people. So that's good. So everything's set up. And all right, Patriot in the Dark Other says that Michigan GOP is holding Republican America First rally on the 14th. Said it's supposed to be national. They're oblivious to the 2A. Yeah, I have actually heard of the America First rallies, and the good thing is possibly if they're going to be the state capital as well, then you'll have a large conglomerate of Republicans out there that are typically pro-gun. At least that's what the party platform says they should be. Hey, what's up, William? William, well, I'll see you in Little Rock then if you're going. But anyways, if you've got the Republican Party doing America First rallies out there and the 2A rallies up there, then the wonderful thing that could happen is possibly joining forces and making a really big rally. So maybe that will help. What's up, Squib? Squib says that's the Grand Rapids rally. Yeah, I don't know. Jim says that Eric is pushing the Georgia at least. Yeah, and it's nice to see. I think Nuttin Fancy did one also. I want to say that I heard Nuttin Fancy. I haven't seen it yet, but I did watch Eric's. So Iraq Veteran 88. 88 will be attending.
I've seen.
Apparently, will be speaking at the Georgia rally. So
I believe I've seen a tweet from Nuttin Fancy. If I'm not,
he's dang angry. Okay.
Is he dang angry?
It depends on his POU.
Yeah, it depends on a lot of things actually. Yeah. Depends on if he's being told to be angry or not. No, but it is nice to see finally Eric stepping out of the shadows and at least putting something out there about the rallies, and if he's able or willing to speak at it, that's great, because him just putting that video out there could, at least in Georgia, draw up a lot more attention for people to get there. So that's what it's really all about, is getting people there and having a conversation. Troy out there says Nuttin made his typical 50-minute video on the rally. Yeah, I probably would have fallen asleep 10 minutes into it. So Roosted, what's going on up there? Sandhills, what is up, John? It was great seeing you, great meeting you this weekend. We had, I don't know. I'll get into Tulsa later. That's a whole nother issue. But needless to say, we had a great time in Tulsa. Had over 30 people there. The GunChannels crew invaded Tulsa and Wannenmacher and J.M. Davis, and Tulsa will never be the same again. But one of the things I wanted to talk about for people that haven't been to rallies before, the rally back in November, I didn't hear of too many that had any opposition there. I would imagine that there is a better chance right now of there being some opposing views at this rally versus the Capitol rallies that we had last November. One, this group has been planning this for several months, and I actually have seen it on some national level media promoting it. So it's at least getting out there a little bit. So for those people that haven't been to a rally before, and most of us have been to a rally, 2A rally, at least to some extent, and since at least November, I think we were all one. Maybe TAC wasn't there in November at his, but we were all at our respective Capitol rallies in November. But I know TAC's been at a bunch of different rallies, other places, and other times. So for those people that are new to it, what can we expect this time from the opposing forces? First of all, do you think there will be a lot of opposition there? And two, what do you think we can expect? And I'll start with Travis.
Rumor has it we had a few undercovers from the left that was at our last rally. You kind of think you could have spotted them, but you didn't want to try to point anybody out. Who knows? I'm just hoping it doesn't disrupt what we're trying to do, because they could have a right to gather across the street and scream and yell if they want to. That kind of scares me. Obviously, we're not going to get violent against that kind of opposition. We don't stoop to that level. But the way that youth, again, are being brainwashed to believe that guns are bad and that you don't need the Second Amendment, there could be a strong younger presence, unfortunately, of antis out there. Or, you're going to have groups of moms getting their kids together. Let's go do our march for, freedom, or whatever they want to call it, march to protect our lives kind of thing. And before you know it, I think we're probably going to see a little more. I think they might get a little more organized. And you know what the thing is, before all this happened, before the shooting in Florida, I just don't know if those other groups even realized that we were gathering in November to do our thing until it made the news media, now that the shootings have happened.
I think we had, 13 days? I mean, it was just one of those last minute things. So
yeah, I think we threw it together quick enough that, and they don't pay attention to what we do or what we say or what videos we put out anyway. I mean, I'm not all of them, obviously, but I'm just saying that I think it kind of caught them off guard. So now they're thinking, oh, now we're going to go out and say our piece and get our national exposure, make these guys look bad. So, yep. All I can say is carry yourself professionally, man. If you're going to be out there at that rally, be a good person. Take the higher road, man.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be the biggest key is there. Like I said, we all have had this discussion so many times before. They're going to fight with emotions. They're not going to fight with facts. Chances are they won't listen to facts. They're just going to, they're not even going to listen to a word you're saying. But if you do happen to have a couple of people that are there that are just interested in learning more, that's the opportunity that we need to capitalize on. People that maybe own guns but necessarily aren't activists, but just want to know a little bit more, that sit there and say, I've heard all this stuff about all the gun control going on, can you explain what's going on? That's where we have to be prepared. So come prepared with facts, come prepared with information that is truthful, that is accurate, because this is an opportunity to get some of these people on our side. We're probably not going to change the howling left's minds regardless, just like they're not going to change ours. But that middle ground, the undetermined vote, if you want to call it there, that's who we should be trying to get to join our side. I just hope that no one has any violent opposition, because that's never good. But with I'm sure there'll be people there trying to antagonize and trying to cause an issue and get it on camera so they can call the crazy gun people. Ellis, have you heard of, well, put it this way, was there any opposition there in South Carolina in November? And do you think there will be Saturday?
In November, no, there was no opposition whatsoever. As far as Saturday, after this recent shooting thing in Florida, it's a possibility. And that's something we just have to be prepared for and be ready to deal with. And when I say deal with it, I'm not talking about getting loud or getting violent, because not everybody that's going to be on that other side is going to be an anti-gunner. And that's what you got to understand. There's going to be those that are out there yelling and screaming, and they're probably the ones that's getting paid to be there. And don't think that don't happen. They do pay these people to ship in and say, okay, we want you to yell and scream, make a lot of noise, try to piss them off. Don't fall into the trap. Do not fall into that trap, and that's exactly what it is. Because as soon as you do, you're going to be on somebody's camera, on film, making a fool of yourself, and it's going to end up out on the news or on Facebook or YouTube, and it's going to do us no good. We, like Travis said, we have to learn to take the higher ground and understand that, like I said, not all these people on the other side are going to be completely anti-gun people. Some people might just have questions that need answered. Why are you here? Why is this so important to you? Why do you fight so hard? And that is your door to walk through and explain this thing to them in a way that they can feel, the way that they can understand. Explain to them why it is so important that we not only keep our Second Amendment, but fight every battle that comes our way to protect it.
I would even take it a step further and said not just fight the battles to protect it, but we need to maybe start some battles to repeal gun control legislation that are already on the books. Since we quote unquote have the numbers, I don't know why we never try to do that. Real quick, Travis T out there in the chat says a local gun shop called Shoot Straight in Fort Myers here in Florida will pay for up to 60 buses to get people to Tallahassee. If everyone needing transportation, let them know in advance. So if you live in the Fort Myers area and you would like to take a bus, get a hold of a local gun shop called Shoot Straight. It's in Fort Myers, and they will be willing and able to pay for up to 60 buses to get people up there. So
look at why he's doing a little bit more to that. This is one of the biggest gun show guys on the planet. You need to look in who the owner of that spot is real quick before you jump on the bus. But it is interesting that he's actually busing people up there.
Well, I don't know the guy, and I don't even know the politics and all that. But if he's going to give me get somebody a free ride that might not be willing or able to go otherwise, we'll figure it out. But
Right on.
yeah, I just let you know. I'm just passing that information. I will look that up because I have no idea what's going on. But let's see here. Squib says he'll carry his AR-15 with an empty chamber, so there's no chance of a negligent discharge. Let's see here. Gelsma's out there. Let's see. I'm going through here. Sorry about that. I'm looking to see if there's anything else up in there. Nope. Well, Tack, you've been to some different rallies, and you've been to different places where both sides have gathered, especially probably in the last few months, last couple of months. In Florida, where obviously seems to be kind of the mecca of where all the gun control rhetoric is going through right now. I know that you said that obviously we know about the kids and the different people there that are trying to get gun control legislation passed. But I know that you've also said in the last week or two, there seems to be more and more of the pro-gun people or the gun tolerant people starting to kind of resurface a little bit. Is that continuously getting stronger, or what do you see there?
Yeah, there's definitely people that don't want anti-gun message to be the only one. There's just so much other stuff going on too with the questioning of authorities and school boards now. I mean, there's just a lot of politics, but yes, there's definitely people who at least aren't just sitting around listening. I'll put it that way. Right. There's definitely some people that are being proactive.
Dead Horse on the Gun Channel side says, this program is brought to you by Freedom. Have you experienced freedom lately? That's pretty good. I like that. Good job, Dead Horse. Knives is over there. What's up, Knives? Yo! So anyways, Clover, what about in Texas during last November? Besides, I think there was a little Antifa little rally earlier in the day or the day before or something like that, but did you guys have any opposition there? And do you think there will be any more with the latest stuff that's been going on the last few months? Do you think there'll be more opposition there this time?
I don't believe so. As far as that Antifa thing, yeah, Matt covered that. I think that was the evening before, the day before. They did like a 8-block march to where they were supposed to meet, and by the time he got around there, it wasn't even 15-20 minutes. Nobody was even there. So. Right. Most of the stuff, I keep harping on this over and over, that this is not an overwhelming, grains of sand type army that we're facing with these people that are anti-gunners. It's a very small number of troublemakers that, through whether they have money backing and they pay people, like Outlaw said earlier, or they have fancy little perks like Hollywood actors or recording artists or something like that to draw other people in. I mean, they have to do that because they have no substance behind their arguments, and their arguments are ill-informed, uneducated, and silly. So the biggest thing we faced in November was having the book fair thing on the opposite side of the Capitol. That really caused me to be late because of trying to find a place to park, and then a bunch of other things, and I'm sure it hindered other people as well, and we didn't realize that was going on. As far as the potential, even across the country, to have a counter rally or a counter presence there, there's always that possibility, but I think the probability is fairly low, and the reason is we pay attention. We know what the left's doing. We see what they're doing. Plus, the media always covers that and makes it, twist it to make it look like it's some big, huge deal every time. And then when we do something, that other side, they don't pay attention to what we're doing like we pay attention to what they're doing. They really don't. So the vast majority of them probably don't. They don't have a clue what's even going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Well, I just wanted to say thank you to our local thumbs down guy. He finally joined in, gave me the thumbs down, and then left, as he always does. But it's 30 minutes into it, so I was getting a little worried that he might not show up. But now that he has shown up and given my weekly thumbs down, I want to say thank you for coming back in and doing that for us. So I feel a little naked out here not having a thumbs down. So I thought now I can.
It's all right. Make sure you go support his sponsors. You'll be fine.
That's right. We all know who it is, and it's all good. But I wish you at least stop by and say hey, because I love seeing my mods take care of them so quickly. But anyways, there's a question that was brought up over in Ellis's chat earlier today, and it's going to be a question that is going to be asked a lot, either at rallies or just in general when you're out there talking to anti-gunners. And I think it's a question that is an important question because, and don't take this to any offense at all, Ellis, but listening to your chat earlier, I was getting a little frustrated, and if I had time, I would have. Squib says you got to have at least one troll. Yeah, it's the same troll that trolls everybody. We all know who it is. But like I said, he hadn't given me my thumbs down yet, so I feel normal now. I'm ready to go. But anyways, it's a question that I didn't feel really kind of got answered in a way that actually makes us look better. Because it's almost an impossible question to answer intelligently and within reason. The question is why do we actually need AR-15s? And it's a question that you and I, everyone in this room knows will come up eventually when you're talking to an anti-gunner. Because it is something that that's what they're going after. They're going after the quote-unquote assault weapons and the military style rifles and all that, which basically all those different words mean AR-15s and /AK-47s, but those kind of weapons. But the questions usually come up is, why do you need one? And I think that this is an important topic to bring up because if there are any opposing people there at the rallies, and that is a question that's asked, I think it's going to be very, very important that we actually give them legitimate and logical answers as to why we need an AR-15 aside from shall not be infringed. Shall not be infringed is a wonderful, wonderful phrase, but it can't be the answer to every gun question. So I want to pass this through the room and throw out, I'm not saying necessarily why you think that we should have AR-15s, but in the conversation, what would be some good talking points if people out there at these rallies are asked that specific question? So we'll go ahead and we'll go backwards. We'll start with Clover. What are some talking points that you think that people can bring up if they are asked that question this Saturday?
Well, I need somebody to play devil's advocate. So
I'll play it with you. Go for it.
So you posed the question to me. Why do we need an AR-15? Correct.
That's right. That's right.
All right. So first of all, where's your premise coming from?
Well, nobody here needs to. No one needs a military grade weapon. No one needs to hunt with a rifle that can kill 30 people in 30 seconds.
Okay, so your problem is the amount of people that's dying because of these, right? That's an issue. The amount of deaths.
Well, one of these mass shootings are using AR-15s, and
right.
it's a weapon of war.
Yeah, and we don't like to see a bunch of people die, right? I mean, we don't want that.
That's exactly my point. If we can take these weapons off the street, then less people will die.
Okay. Well, we agree on that. Less people, should be dying. I have no problem with that at all. So what I would like to say now is, the difference between want and need, right? Do you eat Taco Bell or McDonald's?
Of course, everybody does.
Do you need that, or do you want that? I mean, you could probably eat at home, right? Or you could eat, at, I don't know, Subway, a lot healthier, right?
But I like McDonald's cheeseburgers.
I mean, we can agree though that there's healthier places to eat than McDonald's, correct?
Probably.
Okay. So you don't need to eat at McDonald's, and if death is the issue, then it's been proven over and over that you continually eat at those fast food joints, it's going to lead to obesity, and obesity is like the number 4 cause of death in the world, worldwide. At the tune of about 2 million, people a year. So if death is the issue, then why are we not talking about obesity? Because it's the same issue of a want and a need. You don't need junk food. You don't need fast food.
Do you know what I do need? I need for you to answer my question. No, I'm just saying. All right, so if anyone's out there just joining, they're going, "What the hell is going on here?" We were doing a little role playing there. No, but the question is why do we need AR-15s? And the problem with this, guys, is it's a difficult question to answer. We need them to protect ourselves. We need them for hunting.
I see it different. I see that as an ambush question. I see that as a gotcha trap.
Well, sure it is. That's what I'm saying is this question will be asked, and there is really no legitimate answer that I've ever heard from anyone that shove it up your face and here's why, and people shut up. There isn't that answer. And so we need to be able to not just saying because the Second Amendment says I can, we need to be able to actually combat that question in a way that
I want to go around the landmine altogether, because that's not anything that we need to be talking about, because the person posing that question, they don't understand what they're talking about.
Right.
Why do you need? There's lots of things that lots of people do that or own or whatever that they don't need. So if we're being intellectually honest, we don't need an AR-15.
That's right.
If we're being intellectually honest about it, we don't. So we can't have that conversation.
That's why
my opinion on that. We have to boil it down and find the common denominators and then go from there. And my point on that is, when you're dealing with the fast food issue and obesity, that's not something that you need. That's something that you want. 2 million people a year die from obesity related illness or causes or whatever. And unlike firearms, the more firearms I buy and I put in my safe, it affects my mortality absolutely zero. Me having 1,000 firearms or 2 firearms or 14,000 firearms does not affect my mortality. The more I eat junk food, which is something that I want, I don't need, the more I eat, the more it affects my mortality. Correct?
That's correct.
There you go.
Yeah, and like I said, there's no right answer to this, and this is the reason why I even brought this up is there is not a right answer. There is no answer that we can honestly give these people that's going to change their mind and say, oh, you know what? Yeah, I agree with you. Never mind. You should have your AR-15. But I think there are ways to combat the question to at least soften the blow a little bit. So I've been one to say that answering a question with a question is a very good technique, and all of that. So I like what you did there. You can use car, you can use fast food and obesity, you can use all sorts of things. Use cell phones, you can do all sorts of stuff. So,
I use the food because food is something you have to have food. Period.
Right.
You don't have to have a car. You don't even have to have a cell phone, but you've got to eat. You have to.
Yeah, and I get Squibs out there, and he's saying, I don't get the need thing. It's my right. The problem is they're going to ask that question.
Well, that's you get to the whole I have the right thing. If you're able to, my tact is to try to go around it, try to establish the premise, try to agree on some very basic concepts. And then once you start agreeing on basic concepts, as you move forward through the conversation,
right?
Then if those basic concepts that you agreed on are born in truth and they're born in fact, then they're the ones that are going to have to crawfish and change their story. They're the ones that are going to have to be all Weasley in the conversation, not you.
Right. G, I know you've got some stuff here in the side chat, but like I said, the whole premise of this is not to actually answer the question right now, but for those people that might be at the rallies or might just in everyday life, the question that comes up is, why do you need an AR? And like I said, I have yet to hear the one answer that changes the ball game. But you've got some good things in there. In your experience throughout the years in rallies and all that, you probably heard a lot of interesting things and seen a lot of interesting things. So do you have any insight as to what may be a possibly good reaction to that question if people out there are posed with that question?
What's that question again?
Why do you need an AR-15?
Well, that's a good question. So an AR-15 being a military rifle or whatever, I can see what you're saying. So you don't want them at all, or you just want the police to have those?
I don't believe that anyone should have an AR-15 because that's a military weapon, and I don't believe anyone should be able to kill 30 people in 30 seconds.
I hear that. Yeah, that's a firearm that has a lot of ammunition and it's easy to use. It's literally made to do that, right? So again, I don't know what your beliefs are on if the police should have them or not, but you believe the military should have them.
Well, I think that the police should have. Yes, I think the police should be able to protect us. That's what I'm saying. I don't think that you. I don't think. I don't.
Okay, so
I don't understand why one says I need to protect myself. That's what the police are there for.
I hear you. So that we're just agreeing that the police maybe, the law enforcement maybe, but military for sure. I mean, we have those firearms for our military for a reason. So that we don't want to say no guns. We just want to say no guns in the hands of private citizens who don't have the training or the need for them. But we'd still want to have them in the military.
Well, they're trained. These are trained with, and you and I are.
Who's in charge of the military? Who's in charge of that military?
Do they train the bad guys too?
Hey, am I doing this? So who's in charge of the military?
The president.
And who's the president?
Donald Trump.
Okay, so you want Trump to have all the guns. Thank you. I see your point.
It's a good one.
So that's my first one. I think that that took a little while to get it, but if we can hone that down to quick, we're basically telling them, I agree with you. You want Trump to have all the guns. Walk away. Don't keep going. You don't win anything. You never make a sale with a big long-winded thing. You're not trying to change their mind. You're trying to drop a kernel. So I suspect I'm waiting for the opportunity to be able to try that one on a more radical, the better. I want them to agree with me that firearms should be only in the hands of the military. Then I'll ask them who's in charge of the military, and I'm going to walk away when I nail it with, that's right, you want Trump to have all the guns. I suspect from the 10 to 15,000 people that were in Phoenix, which is supposedly a good gun-friendly state, that seemed to me to be an event for selfies and a time for people to get together to hate Trump. And the guns were just the topic, but the event was there to hate Trump. If I turn that fan on, is it real bothering? Is it real bad background?
Yeah, I don't hear anything.
My second one is, I believe, also potentially an answer. So what was the question again?
So why do you need an AR-15?
An AR-15, a black rifle that's large and it's used by our military. It has an extended magazine that holds plenty of ammunition. From a distance, you can tell that that's a weapon of war. I agree that that's something that might on the surface seem like something that has no need to exist, especially in the hands of civilians, right? Well, I can think of the 1992 LA riots, and depending on how old the person is, you can ask them if they can remember that time. And that's a time when Los Angeles, a normally peaceful place, had 6 days of violence, and then it went back to being the same peaceful place until now, however many years later this is. So for 6 days in LA, do you remember the LA riots?
I do, actually.
How they started? It was Rodney King, remember?
Yeah, it was Rodney King, yep.
Right? And then what happened? The people in South Central LA were upset, and Rodney King was the straw that broke that camel's back, right? They were upset about the situation and the police brutality. Remember that?
I do.
So in '92, what happened is that came to a boiling point, and the people in South Central Los Angeles were not justifying their actions, but they reached a breaking point. And with the conclusion of that trial, I believe, the tension was there. The police beat on a little kid. The neighborhood threw rocks at the police. And what did the police do? Do you remember what happened in 1992? What started the riots?
I think they left.
The police hit that little kid. The neighborhood threw rocks at the police, and the police left the neighborhood. What happened is that emboldened the mob, a mob mentality that'll happen anytime there's people that are disenfranchised, that are upset and don't have a way to express themselves, don't feel like the system is working for them. You don't feel that they were wrong, do you? Those people weren't wrong to believe that, right? We're on the same track, right? That those people were.
What I'm trying to say is what I'm trying to say is
you're
there
asking why we don't need an AR-15, and I'm suggesting that we can
need an AR-15. You can use other rifles and other handguns.
Well, let's talk about 1992, unless you don't want to talk about the actual answer to your question here. We had a situation where justifiably a whole area of Los Angeles got upset to the point where they were in a mob. That mob mentality, we all know, is no longer directed. It's just rage, right? And that happened for 6 days. And unfortunately, the highly trained Los Angeles SWAT departments and the law enforcement in the area, as well as military, were not able to handle it. And unfortunately, for 6 days, there was fires, there was looting, there were murders, people lost their lives. Now, let's remember, at the same time, when the helicopters who might have been egging it all on, you know, the police or the news helicopters that were showing all the violence and letting the gang members in the area know that there were no police nearby. In fact, they were showing them how the police had retreated from the area and left that neighborhood to its own. And those same cameras that allowed the gang members to get out in the street and burn and rob and murder, those were the same cameras that allowed people in the community, reverends and just people who had the fortitude to go out and rescue Reginald Dennehy off the street from the mob. And he said, if you're going to kill him, you're going to kill me first. And he got him in the truck and he got him to a nearby hospital. So they're not discouraging that neighborhood. We're saying that that was a bad time in Los Angeles, a normally peaceful city. Now that mob, that arsonist, murderous mob, was also egged on by the tension between Koreatown and South Central LA. And as that mob moved north and was burning factories or burning buildings, do you remember all that in the news? Every day we'd see more and more fires. When did that stop? It stopped at Koreatown. And specifically, it stopped it, and I would tell them the name of the streets because I forgot the name of the North-South Street, but I know it's 7th Street because I've been there. And it stopped at the California Market. And you might not remember this part, but the Koreans who owned that market, who moved from other countries and set up stakes in the United States, the melting pot, they started their businesses there, and no individual there had a gripe with the people in South Central, the neighborhood south of them. No individual had a gripe with them, but they saw a mob coming north, and they had just taken out the school, the University of Southern California. They had burned it down, and they were headed towards Koreatown. And what stopped a mob, an angry mob with arson and murder? What stopped them? People on rooftops with an AR-15. That sight of an AR-15 and the knowledge of what that can do, that stopped an angry mob. For 6 days, that was necessary. Now, I'm going to ask you, why do I need an AR-15?
I'm going to ask you another question. So you're basing your principles on this over a riot that happened in 1992 for 6 days in one of the most dangerous neighborhoods in America.
That's right, in a very peaceful city.
You're going to tell me that the entire country should be able to have AR-15s because of a riot that happened 30 years ago in South Central LA. You're telling me that I need to have an AR-15 and everyone in my town needs to have an AR-15 because of one stupid riot?
Exactly, and let's not forget the riot in 1968 in the same town.
The same job without an AR-15? You're telling me they could have used other guns and done that?
Do you think that they did use other guns? They did. They used revolvers, they used pistols, they used shotguns, and they used AR-15s. There was the Watts riots in the 60s. But let's talk about Ferguson. When was Ferguson? Was that 30 years ago?
I don't know.
You don't remember Ferguson, Missouri 3 years ago or 2 years ago?
I don't remember anything, no.
Okay, well, now you're definitely playing the role well. But that was my second point, is the LA riots. It might have been a long-winded one, and I haven't honed that one down, and it would take some attention span to get that one out there. But I believe that there's some pieces in there that we can use.
And I love what we're doing here is this role playing. The unfortunate thing is Alan Anchor, Angelina came in and was like, what the hell's going on? She said she came in right when I was telling everybody that they don't need guns. And so we are role playing people here. We are trying to prepare people for anti-gun questions at the rallies or just in everyday life. So if you're joining right now and you're wondering why the hell I'm talking and arguing with people about needing AR-15s, that is why we are actually role playing. No, I thought that was really good, G.
I have a third one.
The biggest part.
I haven't honed as well.
What's that? Well,
I have a third one I haven't honed as well, but I believe it's important or it's useful.
All right, what you got? Why do you need an AK-47?
So how many of those are there? If we count the assault rifles, not just that AK-47, but the AR-15s also, how many of those do you think we have in this country? Is it probably tens of thousands, if not millions, right?
Probably yeah.
Millions. Yeah, and then what we're worried about is those millions of guns out there, and then I would bring it to, like, how often are they used in crime, and the fact that they exist 365 days a year, using some numbers like that. And I haven't honed that one, but to point out the existing situation, the flaw in their logic. They say that the guns are dangerous and we should remove them. By removing them, they'll be safe. But right now we have less than 300 murders, and those are lawful, justified murders, as well as, or homicides, I should say, as well as crimes. But obviously it would take a little honing to get that one down. But the idea to tell them, okay, so we're getting rid of these millions and millions of guns that did nothing yesterday, right? And the day before, and the day before, and the day before. But once in a while they do something, and that's why we should remove these millions and millions of guns that are so dangerous that nothing's really happening.
And I'll give this to you, sir. And I don't know your name or anything like that, but my biggest thing is this: is I'm not sitting there saying you can't have your guns. I actually own a couple guns myself that. I've got my grandpa had some rifle that he used to hunt with, and I've actually got a handgun at the house for home defense. So I'm not against guns. I just don't understand why anyone would want or feel like they have the need for these assault weapons that are mass murdering machines.
Right on. Yeah, like I said, that one's not honed. I was just going to try to use the numbers game at him though.
No, but
my
I like
one is the freedom thing that, hey, if do you want to be free or do you want to live in a prison? And something about we're free, so fuck you. But not the exact words.
Right. Yeah. Tech Daddy, what you got for us?
Oh, I just go with the old Ice-T thing. If you can guarantee me that the bad guys don't have them, you can start talking to me about taking mine. Till then, I want at least what the bad guys have. It's pretty simple.
And I think that was kind of the point that I was going to bring up, and I'll go into my little spiel here in a little bit. But Ellis, what you got?
What do I have? Let me start by telling you how this all came about in my show. Last week we had went to the dump, and we got to talk to the guy that runs it, and he's a gun guy. He likes guns. He owns firearms, and he was asking us, where we go shoot, where we do this, where we do that, what kind of weapons we use. And as soon as we mentioned the AR-15, he says, "I'm done. I'm walking away. Ain't nobody needs an AR-15." And this is a supposed gun guy. All right. Okay. And it struck me as odd that he would just immediately drop the conversation and walk completely off of us. No explanation, no anything for what he was saying. Just nobody needs it, and walks off. That's how this whole thing got started for the show today. So I got to thinking about it over the past week, and you're right. It's a very hard question to come to an answer to, because there's no right way to handle this. There's no right answer for the question, period. Right. And how do you answer that question? Well, my response is simple. What is your problem with the gun itself? What do you not like about the AR-15? Why do you think that we don't need them? That's the question. You answer their question with a question. What is your issues with the gun? Let's take it down to the bare nuts and bolts and go from there and build upon this and figure out what it is you have a problem with. Is it the fact that it holds 30 rounds, that it does fire so quickly? Let's talk about it. Okay, how many people have been killed by an AR-15? What'd you say, Ghost?
It doesn't fire any quicker than any of my handguns. It's my trigger finger.
Exactly. That's the point. It's a matter of changing the way they think about the gun, and that's the only way to work this to your advantage. Is you have to change the way they think about the gun itself, and it's not an easy task, because somebody that hates something is not going to immediately change their mind. I hate chicken liver. I hate beef liver. And to get me convinced to eat it is not an easy chore. So, it's the same way with the AR-15s and AKs. You've got to come at it at a nuts and bolts point of view and work your way up from there. Disassemble it, rebuild it, and start from scratch. Okay, this is your problem with it. Let's talk about this problem. This is the other problem. Let's talk about that problem, and go from there. Because that's the only way that I see to get through to them.
Yeah, I like it. Travis, since you're a teacher, could you educate us a little bit here and see what your reaction would be to that question?
Well, I'd like to make a reference back to the Second Amendment, which says that, you know, well-regulated militia, which is necessary to the security of a free state, means that any of us Americans are entitled to be part of that well-regulated militia. And if we're to defend this country against tyranny or to defend this country against an invading army, then the citizens absolutely must have some sort of weapon that matches the firepower of its enemy if we expect to succeed.
Mm-hmm. What can you name me one time that the U.S. government has attacked the people of America? Why would we need to defend ourselves against the government? That doesn't seem like that's never going to happen. We're a free country.
I don't know. Why don't we ask some Native Americans and see what they say?
Exactly. The worst mass shooting in American history was portrayed by the U.S. military.
Or you know, when well, yeah, I'm just saying, let's ask them and see how they turned out for them when they were forced to be disarmed.
I love that. That's a great question answer right there. Yeah, we basically removed an entire people and displaced them to certain pockets of the country to keep them quiet and out of our way. So if you don't think it can happen again, you're absolutely outside your mind. For me, it's real simple. I try not to get to the whole general. I don't like the whole hunting thing because that's just one of those things that they can combat very easily. The shall not be infringed. You know, yes, I think like you said, quoting the Second Amendment and making sure that they understand that that it's our right to be able to keep and bear arms, but they're going to come back and say, well, that's right. I'm not saying you can't have guns, but why do you need an AR-15? I kind of had to see the same answer as TAC a little bit, maybe in a different way. But I would sit there and say that until every single AR-15 is off the streets and no one, including the criminals, are going to have them, I'm having mine. And you can choose not to have yours, and that's okay. I respect your choice not to have an AR-15 as long as you respect my choice to have an AR-15. And I think if you can bring it into a respect in conversation and saying, hey, I respect your point of view and I understand your question, and I absolutely 100% respect your right to not have an AR-15. And I think that I respect your decision not to have an AR-15, and I respect your decision to allow yourself to be victimized down the road. I choose not to have that. I choose to be able to control a situation with a weapon that is going to put fear into criminals' eyes just by the looks of it. And I think that the AR-15 could also be a deterrent for crime, because most people don't understand what an AR-15 can and can't do. They see a military style looking weapon and they get scared. So if it becomes a deterrent, maybe it actually will help prevent crimes from happening. So that would be one of my arguments as well. Let's see here. Ghost, your answer for being willing to give up your AR only once they're off the street is disingenuous. I didn't say I would be willing to give it up. I said until all of them are gone, don't ask me that question. I never said I want to give it up. I'm saying don't even ask that question.
Well,
as long as there's one of them out.
That also changes the conversation, and it goes back to going around the landmine, because you create a situation to where, I mean, nobody wants, quote unquote assault weapons or really anything like that in the hands of criminals and out there on the streets, right? So I mean that that creates a whole other conversation to where you could actually talk about, do you have some ideas on, let's have a conversation. How do we get them off the streets, and how do we keep them off the streets? Let's have that conversation first. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think that, the problem that the AR-15 is going to bring is people are uneducated and misinformed about what it is. And one of the things that I brought up in Ellis's chat was a bolt action rifle. A bolt action rifle, we're talking a 308, 338, Lapua. There's a lot of different calibers. Actually, most bolt action rifle calibers are going to be more dangerous and more deadly and more accurate than a gas-powered carbine. Most people don't realize that. So they'll sit there, and if you tell most people to pick out which cartridge is a lot more dangerous looking, which round is more dangerous looking, they're going to pick a 308 or a 50 cal. They're going to pick these magnificent rounds that are bolt action rounds over a 5.56 or a 2.23 or a 7.62. Because they look bigger and more dangerous. What they don't realize is those rounds are for mostly for bolt action rifles, but they're not afraid of bolt action rifles. They don't look mean. The AR-15, the AK-47, they just look mean. That's the problem. Is I would sit there and say there's might be something if you have access to a 308 and a 223 and a 7.62. If you have access to any of those ammos. I'm not saying carry a gun on those, but if you don't want to carry the gun, carry those 3 rounds in your pocket this weekend. And if someone asks you, just sit there and simply say, of these 3 rounds, which one would you rather get rid of?
You know what? If you're going to do that, I'm going to say make a couple without powder and put them back together, or buy key rings, basically keychains.
Right.
If you had 3 pieces of ammo on a keychain, immediately they're not scared. You know what I mean? It doesn't look like you have 3 pieces of loose ammo. It looks like it was deliberately set, and you could do exactly what you're talking about. Plus, you wouldn't lose them in your pocket; they'd be connected.
Right. What? Apparently, well, something on gun channels, I guess, is not working right now, so they're letting you know, G. But would you say that else?
You could take that actual step further. Take a 5.56 round, put it next to a 44 Magnum round, and ask them which one's more deadly.
Well, sure.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you can sit there and a 9mm is going to be, as far as the circumference in the hole, is going to be bigger than a 7.62.
Yep, exactly. That's the point.
I mean, you sit there and people just aren't educated enough. They see these big, ugly, scary rifles that look like an M16, and they just don't know. I want to say, I don't remember who it was earlier said that, I can, they're not going to kill more people than my handgun because it's going to go as fast as my trigger finger goes. So it's, but most people don't understand. And the whole fully semi-automatic thing, I don't even want to jump into that because that one's going to be pretty easy to defend. But I was really interested in the question that you asked earlier, Ellis, because I thought that was a legitimate question, because that's a question I hear a lot, and I've never been able to really come up with that one answer. That one answer that shuts them up.
There is no one answer.
That one answer.
I'm in the van, so my internet's probably screwed up. It sounded like you said you were agreeing with Ellis, that he had a good question.
Yeah, I know that didn't happen very often, but yeah, I'm throwing a little love Ellis's way. So for the first time ever, Ellis came up with a good question.
You can both kiss my rear.
Well, it's a little after 8 o'clock. We didn't really get into the Tulsa trip. I will just say this: we can talk a little bit briefly. J.M. Davis was amazing. We had Wayne McCombs, who was the executive director, and then we also had a curator, and I wish I remember his name. I don't remember his name. They gave us a tour.
Got it right here. Get it.
Oh yeah, what's his name?
I'm getting it. I'm efforting.
Okay. So there was a great tour. They brought some different insight and some different, one of the things I didn't know, and I don't pretty much most of it didn't know, that since they're a government, I don't know if they're an agency, but they're a government identity, that when NFA items become available, they actually do have access to be able to bring those into the museum because they are part of the government system. So I thought that was really interesting that I did not realize. You guys have anything that you want to talk about, Travis or Clover, about J.M. Davis? One of the things that you thought that was well, Travis, you didn't go to J.M. Davis, you weren't there yet, but Clover, what's one of the cool things that you saw that maybe this time around that you don't remember seeing the first time around at J.M. Davis?
I didn't see the bubbled up pistol. What was that? That was a Colt Woodsman or something that they turned into like a Buck Rogers gun with like model airplane parts or something. And I didn't see that the last
time, but it was weird. It was really
weird. It was weird looking, man. And it was just done in a garage, somebody did that. So it was kind of
what's going on. Welcome.
Yeah, it may make you cry, in a way that it, with a Colt Woodsman like that. But back in the day, that was a cheap pistol for somebody. I mean, I get it, we look back nowadays and go, crap, can't believe somebody did that. But, they probably gave $50 for that brand new back in the day,
Right. I thought one of the cool things, it was during the curator's talk, he was talking about the Bonnie and Clyde gun. And he had different stories for some of the different guns, but the Bonnie and Clyde gun I thought was interesting. That, there were a lot of guns that have been brought to them over the years that they necessarily haven't been able to verify the story that comes with these guns. And they try to do all the background they can. And if they can't find any information to refute the story, but they can't necessarily find one to 100% go with the story, sometimes they have to change the wording and the description and all that. But, I thought it was really interesting when you get these guns and someone will have a different serial number on them. And it's the serial number he said he had a gun come in that was, I can't remember exactly what it was for. I don't know if it was, I can't remember which one he said it was. Maybe it was, who was it? Floyd, the Floyd guy. Is it Pretty Boy Floyd or something like that?
Yeah, Pretty Boy Floyd. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They said they had a gun come in from Pretty Boy Floyd, but the serial number on that gun was actually 2 years after, like, he died or something like that, to where the story didn't check out with that gun. But then someone also put, it was a different piece of metal that someone changed or put a whole new piece on that gun with that serial number. So that might not have been the original serial number either. So it was really interesting. I can't remember exactly the whole story behind that one. Wasn't it, G? Do you remember that one?
Yeah, I think he said that there was the typeface was different, and the one dude owned the type of typeface, so they suspect.
Yeah.
But they don't know why that might be. Like what he was,
Yeah. And on the Bonnie and Clyde one, Buck and one thing that they didn't bring up, they were talking about it, they really, really looked at it good, and it looked like somebody had changed the serial numbers on that.
Right.
And they were like, well, we don't understand why, because Bonnie and Clyde, would just bought it and dumped it, and they wouldn't have cared. But, you got to bring Buck and Blanche into the mix, and you don't know what they did. And then you also don't know where they were getting these. So if they picked them up from some other kind of, mobster or somebody on the black market, maybe somebody was doing black market guns at the time, was already changing the numbers so they don't get traced back. Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah, that could totally be, especially if they're stolen from the military. Why wouldn't you do that?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I didn't think about that, but yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So J.M. Davis was amazing. Once again, we're talking over 14,000 artifacts in that museum, not just firearms, but over, they had all sorts of different things. And they had saddles, they have steins, they have all sorts of stuff. That's, but it is the largest private collection of firearms, and it's an amazing museum. And I've been there twice now, and I thought I saw most of it the first time, but I saw also a lot of stuff that I must have missed this time around. So it was really great. They only had Wannenmacher Saturday and Sunday, and Wannenmacher was still amazing. It was a lot of people there. I heard the number of 50,000 people, and that's incredible. I will say that this one seemed to be more crowded than November's, but this one for me was a little bit different because there weren't a whole lot of vendors. There seemed to be a lot of private sales and local gun shops. There seemed to be more ammo dealers there this time than there were in November. Maybe it was just me. What did you guys think? As opposed to last November, Clover, I think you and I were both the same way. They didn't see too many vendors, but did there seem to be more ammo dealers there this year than before?
I don't really think so. There was definitely more. I don't want to say FFL dealers or whatever, but there was more. Seemed like it was more private collection, maybe FFL dealer type stuff, rather than there was. I don't even know what industry people, I guess you would say, or something. Right. People that manufacturers, maybe people that own some type of a company for a specific product. In other words, not like a storefront. There was a lot of storefronts and private collections. I think. I guess is what I'm saying there.
I'm going to say I would say that maybe last show was a little heavy on that, but I'm trying to remember now. I would have to talk to Nut because he's gone to a lot more shows than us, right? It might be different between November and April, right? There might be people that just go to November, so that might be a part. But I was going to say that I don't know how many shows I've been to now. Last November did seem a little like there were more booths than normal, with the booths meaning like having a banner up above their table and kind of a little storefront setup. Yeah. There was almost more of that than normal. So you guys might have actually just caught it on a heavy month or a heavy show. Yeah. Now it's maybe back to norm. But I think Nut can tell us better.
I talked to several people there and we were talking about that, and they said that November, typically with the whatever manufacturers, whatever you want to call it, that there seems to be more of those in November, and I don't know if it's just timing, maybe because of the way SHOT Show falls or something.
Christmas,
I don't know.
Maybe.
That's true too. Well, that's true too. Yeah, just before Christmas. Sure. Yep. Very good point.
Travis, you still with us, or did he jump over to hit or miss?
He jumped over.
He doesn't even care about this show. He likes other shows.
Yeah. I was wanting to kind of see what he thought of the whole Wannenmacher and all that. What I will say that made the weekend unbelievable was the turnout of content creators plus family from the gun channel side. I want to say that Cycle Camp said the final count was 34 people. That includes family, friends, brothers, and all that stuff. I think the number was 25 that were people that actually were working on content and all of that from the gun channels, but 34 total. And we basically took over Spring Hill Suites. So I want to give a big shout out to Spring Hill Suites there in Tulsa on 73rd Street. They were extremely open to the idea of letting us basically take over their hotel and lobby for the better part of 3 days, almost 4 days. Hey, Amanda, how are you doing? They were accommodating. The rooms were wonderful rooms. They bit over backwards to allow us to do what we had to do. So kudos to Spring Hill Suites there in Tulsa. But it was amazing to have everyone there. A lot of us had already met before in different venues and different scenarios, but there's a lot of people that I hadn't met that are good friends of mine that we just hadn't ever met face to face. So it's refreshing. We say this every time, G and Clover. We say this every time that we meet someone in person. Everyone is the same as they are on camera, which is good or bad, whatever you want to take that. But everyone is very genuine, and that is extremely refreshing to know that the people that are giving you content and giving your shows to you and all that aren't an act. They aren't a character. They are who they are on camera, and that's one of the most refreshing things. That the brotherhood and the friendship was remarkable. I loved every second of it. So, what did you guys think of as a whole the whole weekend?
Complete waste of time. Dissatisfied.
Yeah, it was sucked. I know.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, guys. It's my fault. It was so bad. I didn't show up.
I was waiting for Ellis the whole time. I'm like, he's gonna be here. He's gonna be here, but it never happened.
I'm sorry. Next time, okay. Next time, I'll try better. Next time.
It was freaking awesome. The feedback from the vendors was great. In fact, the feedback from the vendors to the show about the 30-something people from GunChannels was awesome.
Really?
Just the people that were hanging around, like when we were doing the G thing where we all stuck our hands in, you know, all the people were crowding around and seeing what's going on. I mean, it was just such a neat result. It could have been chaotic. It could have been boring. I think the worst case is it could have just been boring, but it was awesome. Really cool.
It was. Yeah. Clover, kind of what was the high point aside from Jay and Wannenmacher, the content side? What was your high point of the weekend? I stumped Clover. Ooh.
Yeah, I know. That's a good question. I don't know.
I don't know if there's the best moment. There's two moments for me, and I'll give you time to think about that, Clover. There's two moments for me. One obviously was a karaoke. It was about as good as it got. But the second one is there was an experiment in social media that took place Friday night in the lobby. And I want to say there's anywhere from 7 to 9 people all within a 20 square foot area in the lobby. There were 7 to 9 people that were live streaming on their own channels at the same time. And we were all right there together. So we were literally watching everyone else stream live at the same time. And I thought it was an amazing experiment. And Jelsma actually did something that I didn't know was possible. He actually had 2 live streams going on at the same time on his channel, which I thought, I didn't know actually you could do that. So it was an amazing thing to see that happen. And it just kind of happened out of the air. But what a great experiment to sit there and see a bunch of people going live and at the same time. And that's kind of the great thing about where we live, because we have the freedom and the right to do that, where other countries, we wouldn't be able to do that at all. So that was a wonderful experiment in Americana right there. So Clover, I try to waste some time for you to come up with an idea. What do you think?
You know, I still don't necessarily have anything that's a highlight.
Lord, I mean, man, you're killing me.
Well, I know, but I mean, it was all a highlight as far as I'm concerned.
It was.
I mean, just and especially, I mean, J.M. Davis was okay. Content wise, I mean, that's really where it was at for the most part.
Sure.
But you know, the gun show, as far as everybody hanging out, and it was a back and forth, and there was different groups of people every time you would go back to the table, and so you just had different conversations and whatever was going on, and then the interaction with the people walking by, even by the table, because we had a really good area there.
We did. We had a great area.
That was really nice, the way it was open in front of the table and all of that. Really nice. So
let's talk about the development. Everybody's going from somewhere on their way up, and not only were we all able to gain experience, but we were able to gain experience with each other. It was super collaborative, and like you said, everybody came back together. The conversations were all, how can, you know, it was all supportive, and it was all enthusiastic. Yeah, I think it's great. And, you know, considering this is people that put their time and effort, think about how much money, if you collected, that might be an interesting project. We all know how Cycle came 28 hours, the longest trip. Matt took how many hours? What, 14 hours? 14 hours one way to get from the tank to Texas up into Oklahoma. Connery drives 9 hours. It turns out we keep saying 7. It's 9 hours to hang out for 4 hours. And then he drives 9 hours home and I don't know if you heard this, but this is why he doesn't owe me an hour anymore. He gets home to go to work, and she shows up to work. He goes to bed. He gets up early and goes to work, and they say, "Oh, you didn't even need to be here. You could have stayed an extra day."
Son of a gun.
Oh my God.
He doesn't owe me an hour no more. But that was amazing effort. Gary drove all the way down from Kansas. Travis and Sandhills coming down from Kansas. Yep. Ohio coming in from Ohio. Dude's coming in from
Night Strike coming in from South Carolina.
Exactly. Night Strike. Talk about development. Talk about going from zero to hero. Let's
might
talk
be the
about
best
Tony
thing
York.
that happened.
Tony York put off his heart surgery because it told him if he did his heart surgery when it was scheduled, he wouldn't be able to go to Tulsa. So he put off his heart surgery to go to Tulsa, and his wife came down with him. Dano, who has back issues, drove all the way down in one trip. This was an amazing effort. We know about the mileage. Let's talk about how much money we all spent. If we put all that together, that's impressive considering everyone did it with number one, to encourage people to learn about the second, number two, to help the gun show out and all those vendors, and number three, to create their own channels. Content coming from the ground up. It was amazing.
It was thousands of dollars,
Thousands.
Tens of thousands. I personally spent at least $1,000.
Yeah.
And once you said that, I will say this: I'm going to change my opinion on the best thing that happened at the weekend, and I will say it was Night Strike. And we talked about this a little bit off air, a little bit also. Night Strike 1 showed up, which in itself is a feat. I mean, let's be honest. He actually got on the plane and showed up. Night Strike came out of his shell a little bit. He was forced to interact with all of us in a social environment, and he did fine. From a content creator standpoint, I know that I took him around for about an hour and a half. I think Travis took him around for a little bit and try to help him get a couple interviews and show him a little bit how to do it. He was willing and able to do whatever. And he might not have gotten as many as others did, but for him to even get one was remarkable. So kudos to Night Strike. I was extremely proud of him for even getting there in the first place. But I was really, really, really proud of how I think he grew a little bit this weekend. I think that he may have relaxed a little bit and understood that we're here to help. No one's going to judge. We give him hell all the time, but when it comes
like
down,
a little brother, and we got his back.
We got his back 100%. I think that maybe that helps him a little bit understand that we're going to rag on you a little bit, but we're going to take care of you also. So I was extremely proud of Night Strike. I was extremely proud of Jelsma and Tardot, Gunpowder, that guy's wife. They all worked hard. They worked really hard this weekend. There's going to be some great content coming out. So I was really proud, and I'm glad to hear G. You must have talked to Carrie a little bit, or Clover.
Oh, yeah.
Both you guys might have. So they were happy with the coverage they got so far.
Like I say, not just the Wannemakers is happy, but the vendors were happy enough to tell Wannemacher that they were happy to see them putting effort in getting the show on the web. So it was something that they didn't even know they were lacking, and the 34 people that showed up did that. Let's take a second to acknowledge the 4 wives that showed up, and Clover's wife for doing the tablecloth, which not only made the real life lobby work awesome, but also the table out there. It let people know what we are, and it gave us a place to call home. Appreciate that. And I want to and the ladies are changing gun channels. You kidding me? They're doing it. And I want to thank you guys who are the husbands, because a lot of dudes would not let their wives show up. They'd be dicks about it. So bravo to you guys for being cool about that. And let's also, I was going to throw in there one other thing, and I forgot it. No, take that.
Yeah, it was just it was a great weekend together. You remember it? Okay, yeah. Rich says the best moment from his point of view was the whole pizza delivery thing.
Oh,
that was pretty hilarious.
The range day. You guys didn't get there for that, but let's thank P226 Nut, who lives there.
There. Yeah, you're right. The range day. Yeah.
Not everyone enjoyed it, but most people enjoyed it, and they got to shoot some full autos, a real Glock 18. And again, a lot of people put in so much effort, and it all went down well. Like, it all could have had potential to just sit there and be boring, and it all was fun. So
I know what your least favorite moment was, G, but I won't bring that up.
Having to almost miss out on bacon over at Hugo's because of Pawnery? No, we're even.
No, I was thinking about the time that you almost got taken away into the meat wagon.
I like to think of it as an awkward way of meeting 3 new friends on the Tulsa Sheriff's Department.
G in handcuffs with his pants down around his ankles. If only a camera was rolling. That would have been great. There you go. William, there's the link to the Facebook page. All right, guys. Let's get out of here. I'll give everybody a chance to plug what they got to plug. What's that?
Ohio just threw out on the Gun Channel side, which is the better side to watch all these chats, because we're talking about gun channels for crying out loud, that the weather worked out pretty good. And except for being a little cold and snowy, it was decent weather.
We got a little snow Saturday morning, and I remember being outside that morning, and I was talking to the Tardot or Clover, someone outside smoking, and I said I would give a large amount of money to see your face, G, when you open up that van for the first time Saturday morning and see snow on the ground. That would have been classic.
Yeah, I feel like I shouldn't have to deal with that because I'm from Arizona.
All right, so let's go through
the state of Oklahoma and complain.
That's right. Outlaw, you got a plug?
I was muted. No, not really. I'll probably be doing a late night chat tonight sometime after the Daily Gun Show.
There you go. Go check him out. And oh, by the way, thanks, G. The curator at JM Davis was Jason Schubert. Jason was awesome too. So Jason Schubert and Wayne McCombs, they gave us some tours there at JM Davis, which was awesome. So thanks for that. Tack, I know you're busy right now. You've got a lot of hats that are going on, including video gaming at the moment. Just kidding. Is there anything that we need to know about coming down the line from you or Funker or anything going on? He might have stepped away. I think he stepped away. Right on. All right, G, what you got coming down the line?
I was going to talk to you about something I found out about in true P226 nut fashion. I found out about this on Monday.
Okay, so what you got?
We got something new for November. It turns out, you've ever heard of Phillips 66 gas station?
Oh, yeah, they're out of Bartlesville, Oklahoma.
Right? So the guy whose name is Phillips, is a rich guy from back in the old days, turns out he likes Colt. He likes Colt so much, he has one of the best private collections of Colt guns. And guess where that place is?
It's in Bartlesville, isn't it?
No, it's about a half an hour north of that range we were at.
Really?
So, yeah. So it's about an hour away from the convention, from where the show is. So potentially we can put that on our agenda for next month or next week.
Really cool.
Otherwise, I'm on the road. If people want to support it, go do it on your websites. Stuff will send Saturday when I get back to Tucson. And appreciate the 2 people that have bought stuff since I've left. 2 people have supported the tour since I've left. I appreciate it. Those 2 people, I really do appreciate that. Anybody can support me over at gearwebsites.com.
2 people is that needs to be more, guys. He's out on the road. He's in North Texas right now. Working on some stuff. They're going to head down to South Texas. I don't want to give your exact positions away unless you want to mention them, but he'll be heading down to South.
Cool. I'm about to boogie here as soon as the show's over. You know where I'm sitting? Underneath the big ass dome that they play football in, I think.
Cowboy Stadium. There you go. Jerry's World, as they call it.
I'm next to a sports dome.
Yeah, that's Jerry's World. Jerry Jones. Go check out Gear Websites. Help G out. He's going to be. I'm assuming you're going to be back in Dallas in a few weeks for NRA, correct? At least that's the plan.
Go home and sell the van. I will be here in the van. Yes.
Right on.
If I have to sell the van, that's so that I can be back here in the cop car. So I'll be here. Yeah. Okay.
All right. Daily Gun Show, Monday through Friday, 12 o'clock Eastern, midnight Eastern. Go check out Daily Gun Show. Angelina, Smeggy, Jimmy, G. I mean, there's a whole cast of characters, but they're going to talk about Second Amendment stuff. They're going to talk about gun shows. They're going to talk about
3 gun shops I visited since Tulsa.
Exactly. You found a couple just going down the side roads between Tulsa and Oklahoma City, didn't you?
Yeah, exactly. Really cool ones too.
HBO Matt wants to know, hey Ghost, how do you tell heads and tails from the poker chip, red or black heads? He said that heads or tails, you get one of the blue side's heads or the red side's tails or whatever, you gotta do that. But he's pulled it out. The mail, got it in the mail. So yeah, thank you for everything, HBO Matt. Clover, what you got going on, my brother?
Just the regular next gen tomorrow, 8 Eastern, after hours Thursday, 11 Eastern, and Firearm Friday at 10 Eastern. Firearm Friday, we will have at least one of the owners from Tandem Cross on, and they are supposed to have a giveaway they're gonna do on there as well. So definitely don't want to miss that one.
There you go. I do want to give a quick shout out to a company that I found over at Wannenmacher. Been in conversation back and forth a little bit with them. Got some other products here. It's pretty cool. It's Diplomacy Failure Inc. And it's he's an Army veteran and former he's a police officer as well out of Chicago. It's got some really cool products. I put a video up last night about a couple of their products, so go check them out. Really cool guy. Josh is a really good guy, so go check out diplomacyfailureinc.com. Go check out Hit or Miss. Night Strike and Smeggy and Travis P11 and probably Sandhills and maybe even Squib. The usual cast of characters over there. On the YouTube side, it's Night Strike 1 is a channel. On the Gun Channel side, it's Hit-or-Miss. So go check those out and go support those guys. Make sure that you go support all of your content creators. Be vigilant this weekend. Make sure that the message of gun rights is in full-fledged on Saturday. If you get a chance to get to the rallies, go ahead and make sure if we are going to strike up conversations that they're factual, they are respectful, they are calm, and they are not trying to incite a riot, because that's the last thing we need. So get out there, support the Second Amendment. I hope we see everybody at NRA in a few weeks in Dallas. Looking forward to that. Thank you to everybody who is watching both on the Gun Channel side and on the YouTube side. I appreciate every single one of you. We will have some more videos from Wannenmacher in different places coming out in the next week. Excuse me. We will probably be going live from Little Rock this Saturday at the 2A Capitol rally. So be looking for that as well. Get out there, change some minds, change some lives, stay vigilant, carry every day. And until next time, guys, I appreciate everybody, and we will see you soon. Semper Fi.